Once again, you're welcome to the program. As always, reviews and comments are welcome on the show. Look for us on our social media handles. Join News on TV, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Send us a tweet with the hashtag The Pulse. We'll be glad to share your thoughts with the rest of the world. Once again, you're welcome. My name is Francis Abon. We were told to expect more today, and in fact, we had what we asked for. It was a busy morning for lawyers of the Electoral Commission. The legal team led by Thaddeus Sori was busy hopping from one courtroom to the next to deal with three matters that had been filed against Ghana's Electoral Commission. I'm talking about the disqualified aspirants who are seeking to be on the presidential candidacy ballot paper come December 7. The APC's Hassan Ayariga, the PNC's Dr. Edward Mahama, as well as the third candidate in the person of IPP's Kofi Akpaloo. We know that he's the latest to have filed a suit today questioning the basis for his disqualification in the race. Let's now get the breakdown of what happened in court today with the three different suits against one person, the Electoral Commission. Joseph Akable joins me now in the studio. He covered that for us. Joseph, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Francis.
Let's begin with the suits that were there initially that are being continued. We know that for the APC's Hassan Ayariga, yesterday we were told that today we should expect the arguments to roll out because there were some issues with their preparation yesterday. What happened in court with Mr. Ayariga's case today?
Fireworks between the lawyers on both sides. Maxwell Logan for Mr. Hassan Ayariga, whilst Thaddeus Sori was up again against that lawyer. And Mr. Hassan Ayariga, his argument is a pretty straightforward one. Just like the PPP case, they are saying that the Electoral Commission didn't offer them an opportunity to correct their mistakes. Now, mind you, their mistake has to do with double subscription. Someone subscribed for them and also subscribed for another candidate. And his lawyer's argument is the fact that it is impossible for Mr. Hassan Ayariga in any way to know who has subscribed for him as well as subscribed for another person. His argument is that it's only the Electoral Commission that can make such a determination, and that is why they believe the law provided for once you identify that there's any problem, alert the person for the person to correct it. They consider that in actual fact, on the day they presented their nomination form, the Electoral Commission pointed out to them that there were some mistakes with about 30 subscriptions, and they corrected it and presented the form back to the Commission. They again make the point that due to the injunction suit by the PPP over the filing fee, the EC didn't receive the filing fee as required by law on that day. So they argue that that extended the nomination day from the 29th and 30th September all through to 10th October on the day when the Electoral Commission received the filing fee. They again make the point that when the Commission received the filing fee, the Commission within 3 hours later decided or announced that Mr. Hassan Ayariga had been disqualified. They say that within the 10 days, the Commission couldn't point out those two over subscriptions that they identified, for which reason they decided to reject the form. So they are of the view that the Commission should have allowed them to correct those mistakes before deciding to reject their form.
But sorry, not to get into the merits of the case, I do recall when the announcement was made by the Electoral Commission on the APC's case, there were some references to his address, his home address, subscriptions not only of one, but I think 2 or 3 individuals in question. So how then do they just oppose that with not enough time? Because there was an initial case of 30 people that he was asked to come and correct those anomalies. So what then accounts for this account today?
It appears in the affidavit they are not dwelling so much on a bit about the names not being put there, the address not being stated in the form. They want to talk more about the double subscription because they feel that is more important. And in overall, they still argue again, the overall effect is that it's still a mistake. So even if it is that one or that of the address, they still are of the view that you should have given an opportunity to correct it, and that was not done by the Commission.
Okay, so now the two lawyers, Mr. Sori and that of Mr. Logan for the APC, had to argue their case out in court today. What's the conclusion on the matter?
Yeah, so first and foremost, Mr. Sori's argument in court is the fact that the Electoral Commission indeed, like the lawyer pointed out, gave them an opportunity to correct the mistakes for 30 subscribers. He again makes the point that that alone shows the fact that the Commission was prepared to go according to the law. He says for the other ones that we failed to point out on that day or within that period, it was because we identified them long after we had closed the nomination period. So are you telling us that we should be extending our nomination period each time we identify a mistake for you to correct all the mistakes in your form? That will make it very difficult for the Commission to finish its work in time. So that is why we didn't offer you that opportunity. So that was the argument coming from his side. And once he finished, the judge said, come Friday, I'll give you a judgment.
Okay, that's for the APC's Hassan Ayariga in his case. Friday, we'll get to see what happens. Let's now move to the National Democratic Party, NDP. What was their story today in court?
So right after that of the APC had ended, the EC lawyer Thaddeus Soy was the very first person to exit the courtroom as he ran upstairs, heading to the courtroom for that of the NDP. Unfortunately, before he got there, the hearing had been adjourned in his absence. The judge, this matter is now before Justice Chebafor, who heard the PPP case that gave a ruling in favor of Dr. Indum. Now, he, on his own, granted an abridgment of time in the absence of the EC. He says the matter needs to be heard early. He has again directed that the parties on both sides present their written statements by Thursday and come to court on Friday for oral arguments to be presented.
So, okay, so that's for the NDP case, but we know that there was a certain charge of 500 Ghana cedis with the next case, and I'm sure that Mr. Sorry had to run from the PNC court to the NDP court to the PNC one as well. Yes. What happened with that?
When he arrived there, a similar fate. In actual sense, when we got there, the judge was hearing a different matter. So Mr. Sorry had to draw the judge's attention that his matter, he had just rushed in because he was litigating another issue. But then again, the judge pointed out that in your absence, I awarded a cost of 500 cedis for you failing to show up. Then again, I've also directed that on Thursday, by Thursday, you should present your written statements, come to court on Friday, and let's argue. So that means that on Friday, the issue will be coming face to face with that of the APC in terms of a ruling coming up. Then that of the NDP and the PNC will be oral arguments. With also that of the IPP's Kofi Akpaloo.
And I was coming up to that issue, Joseph, because we know that Mr. Joseph Akpaloo, Mr. Kofi Akpaloo had made it clear that the reasons for which he was disqualified, he cannot understand. There were issues of forgery. He submitted the individuals in question who had been cited for this forgery to the CID to help with investigations. So how then is he now turning the yard and saying the court should determine whether or not he gets on the ballot paper?
Francis said, looking at the entire suits before the court, one thing that keeps running through is the fact that they are all convinced in their mind that the CI puts the responsibility on the commission to offer candidates the right to correct mistakes once they identify them. And those are the very similar arguments Mr. Akpaloo is making in court. He is saying that he wasn't offered that opportunity. I presented my form. I only heard from the commission when they announced they are rejecting my nomination form. The commission failed to obey carry out the responsibility that the CI placed on the commission. So that appears to be more or less the straw that he's clinging to as it is. So he wants the court to have a second look at the EC's decision to disqualify him, and moreover, he wants that decision to be quashed as well by the court. Okay,
we'll have Mr. Akpaloo in the studio to explain to us the reasons for which he's had to make it to court today on this matter. But let's now look at, we now know the substance for all the cases today that played out in court. Let's get to the nitty-gritties, those involved and what their demeanor was today. Let's begin with Mr. Ayariga. I actually saw him after the case pass by with a huge convoy. What was he like today? New charge?
He had some supporters of his, I must say. Of course, the numbers are not as many as that of the PPP when we visited the Dr. Indum case. But he had still had some supporters. They were wearing APC shirts. They waited outside the court premises for him. And once he was exiting the court, they were a bit cheering him up. But when he came in, very calm, he came in a company of his running mate, Emmanuel Carbatels. He was seated all throughout. And once in a while, he was laughing depending on the arguments that were being put forward. And especially, I recall there was a point where the EC lawyer was making a point about the fact that they were offered the opportunity and they corrected that. Mr. Yaga just broke into laughter and he was just laughing. And in fact, he was sitting right behind the EC lawyer, Thaddeus Soy.
Interesting. That's for APC. How about Dr. Edward Mahama? Since the announcement, we've heard pretty much nothing from him on this case. What was he like in court today?
As calm as we know Dr. Edward Mahama to be. DSS, they are waiting for their day. One thing that I've noticed for most of the cases is the fact that on the very first day, they come with much of, they want to hear something quickly from the court to allow the real arguments to be presented. Because when you are just coming on the first day, you know that you are not coming to present your arguments. You are coming with the hope that the judge will direct that the matter be heard early. So on that day, they don't want to say much. They just want to come, listen to the judge and come back. It's mostly after the arguments that you find them in a good mood and you expect them to make their points and speak to the media. And as we heard Mr. Yaga earlier on, explain why they think they have a better case.
Okay, that's for the APC and the PNC. How about the NDP? Did Nana Akundo Agyeman-Rawling speak to court today?
She was in court in the company of her lawyer, of course, Ace Ankoma, and they moved swiftly as well. I mean, the same thing, just like that of Dr. Mahama. They are still waiting. The look on their face, their demeanor, it appears they are still waiting to put their matter before the court. But you get that sense of quite a lot of hope in them, because this is the second time they are making an attempt at the court. They took the first issue there, it was struck out. This time around, they are not going before the same judge, they are going before a different judge who has already given a ruling in the favor of some other nominee. So you can understand why they're expecting so much in this one.
Okay, so now that we know what the cases are, one thing is for sure. On Friday, we'll get a ruling on one of the cases, won't we?
Yeah, that is the APC one.
Okay.
And tomorrow as well, the Supreme Court will be hearing an abridgment of motion that has to do with the EC attempting to have a second bite at the cherry in terms of the dispute with the PPP.
Abridgments will be done tomorrow on that case. That'll be interesting to follow, considering that from last week, the PPP, as Joseph will recall, Dr. Imran was in high spirits after the High Court gave the ruling, saying that he can't go and correct the anomalies on his nomination forms. Well, the EC has made it clear from yesterday's statement that they will seek an interpretation of that ruling at the Supreme Court. They actually reject the ruling in question and say that a second look will be needed at the Supreme Court. We'll see what happens with that case in question. But after the short break, we'll speak to Mr. Kofi Akpaloo, the latest to join in the list of suits against the Electoral Commission. Details after the break. Stay with us. You're still watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Let's move in now speak to one of the gentlemen who was the latest, in fact, to file a suit against the Electoral Commission today, contesting his disqualification. Kofi Akpaloo, the flag bearer of the Independent People's Party, joins me in the studio now. Mr. Akpaloo, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So what's the grounds on which you're asking for your disqualification to be quashed?
Oh, actually, the EC aired big time. They disqualified me because he did not even call me to let me understand what they found, you understand? Because he should have given me the privilege, and then by telling me what they found on my paper, which they cannot accept my form before rejecting it. They didn't give me the opportunity, and I think they have abused my right. And,
but sorry, just so we're clear, I do recall that when the announcement was made by the EC chair on the 10th of October,
yeah, I was sitting
you were yes, you were there, and you were actually one of the first who went ahead to get the individuals in question who had signed the wrong way to the police CID.
Yeah.
So how then do you say that you were not given an opportunity?
No, I was not given an opportunity. This came after.
Before the announcement?
Yeah, this came after the announcement. Mm-hmm. You know, I brought those people after the announcement. So I was expecting the EC to invite us, put before us, I found these three anomalies on your form, and I can't accept it. Either you go and amend it or what.
But if yours borders on criminality, about forgery,
there's nothing like forgery.
Why then does it go back to the issue of it being contested?
How do you determine forgery? How do you determine it? It's now there is now what do you call it, a judge or what? I don't know.
Then on what basis did you proceed to submit the individuals in question to the police CID for investigation?
Yeah, because
if you knew that the EC did not have the ability to talk about
because forgery. She has already made it public that she suspects something criminal. Are you okay? And here are the people. I say, police. Now this woman is accusing me of forgery and stuff like that. These are the people. Question them, interrogate them, investigate them, and let us have your report. And up to now, as I'm talking, up to now, we've not received the report. That's why we are going to court only today, because we've been waiting, going to the police every day, demanding for the report. Even we send the suspects to them. They did not go and look for the suspect. We send them to them on the 13th of October. And today
3 days after the announcement.
And today is 14 days. Up to now, we've not gotten the report from the CID. It's not like we've not been going to the CID. We've been going to the CID every blessed day. And then the people made themselves available for the CID to interrogate them. But please, I want the media to go to the CID and find out from them what is keeping them from
releasing the report. I mean, that's a different matter. But again, I need to ask you this. Are you not only doing this, going to court because one candidate who got disqualified got a ruling last week Friday?
Oh, yes.
Which gives you that hope that you can also pursue it yourself?
No, I knew from day one that I did not do anything untoward. I knew I did the right thing, so I was not afraid of anything.
But you didn't say that until this period.
No, I said it. I said it from the very first day. Because if you remember, when I was here, were you the one who interviewed me that day? when the woman did the press conference.
No, I wasn't here.
Okay, I think Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I told Evans that very day that the when he mentioned Alfred Yovoglu, I said, that's my my party member. I knew him. So if your video people will tell you the photographer.
So you made that clear on the 10th of October.
Then,
granted. So now that you've proceeded to court.
Then that's why I brought them out on the 13th. We did a press conference, and then I matched them to the CID because I knew them, so I know where to bring them and bring them to the CID. And I sent them to the EC office. Unfortunately, we didn't meet the woman. We met the Deputy Director of Elections, Daniel Lamegno, and I presented the people to him, and I said, these are the people who signed for me. These are their voters' ID card. You can ask them who they signed for apart from me. They said they didn't sign for anybody, they signed for only me. You understand? So that was what I was expecting the EC to have done, to call me, ask me how you managed to get these signatures. You know, let me show you something here. You see, for clarity purpose, you know, anybody who signed for me, what I did was that I used my camera, to pick their voters' ID. These are their voters' ID. You can see them. You can see them. You see? So it's not like I did anything just anyhow. Anybody who signed for me.
So you're saying on the CID case you reported, there's been nothing on it.
Up to now.
They've told you nothing.
Up to now.
Okay,
and I've been going there every blessed day.
And no results. Let's now move to your suit you filed currently. You filed it today, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And what was the reaction from the courts today?
Oh, yeah, they gave me 4th of Friday. That's Friday to come, 4th of November.
Okay.
To come.
Walk me through your reliefs again. What are you seeking?
Oh, it's very simple, to quash the wrong decision taken by the EC. That's simple as that.
Is that what you wrote in the writ?
To quash it and let me continue.
Is that what you wrote in the writ?
Yeah, that's what I wrote. That's what I wrote. Yeah.
One relief.
As simple as that. Just quash it because.
On what basis?
Because they erred. They mistakenly.
On what legal basis?
No, they mistakenly, not legal basis. This one has nothing to do with legal basis.
But you are going to court on a matter of legality.
No, you see, this is not legal basis. This is common sense. This is common sense. I filled my form completely, 100%. Nothing wrong with the form. It's not like I have some errors on my form and I want them to give me an opportunity to go and make amendment.
You just said that 3 people were identified.
Yes, and I brought the 3 people, and these are the 3 people. So I gave them to the police, and the police. So if EC is talking about criminality, before she arrived as that, you should have gotten a report from the Attorney General office before making that kind of statement that some people are criminals. Who are criminals? You sit in your EC office and then anybody comes and says, you're a criminal, you're a criminal. Is that how we... maybe she supports this.
What are you seeking? Is it judicial review, petition? What is this? I need to understand what's in your writ first, sir. What is in your writ? What's the relief you're seeking?
That they should quash it. Yeah?
Quash what?
Quash the decision by the EC on the 10th of October. And then let me continue with my presidential campaign. That's all. So if to be part of the presidency for presidential nominees, as simple as that.
That's all you're seeking?
That's all.
Okay.
Because she erred. You know, this woman, I can see that she supports instant justice. You know, this mob action, you know. They meet you in Kijiti and say, you, and then they start beating you without giving you fair trial. You know, I mean, because what she has done, that's what it portrays. Because you should have called people, ask them, talk to them first before.
Have you not only found your voice now because because there is a precedence from last week?
No. Ask your.
Up until now, we've not heard you say you go to court to contest this.
I can show you.
Have you been to court?
No. Let me
have
show
you been to court, Mr. Akpalu?
Myself.
This will be your first time after 3 weeks of the announcement.
I've been to court several times.
To file a writ?
Not to file a writ, because I was expecting common sense to prevail. Because I was not expecting, because I don't believe this is a waste of time going to court. It's a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. I was expecting the EC to let common sense to prevail. Mr. Akpalu, we erred. We are sorry. Continue. As simple as that. Because I brought you the people, the 3 people. So
and
what are you waiting for?
And it took you 3 weeks to realize that common sense did not prevail.
Oh no, I've been waiting. Because, and I could see that they are not trying to allow it. So that's why I have to go to court. Okay. I wouldn't have wasted my time going to court. Because, and then even the surprise thing is that they have gone to Supreme Court. For what? I mean, he lost the case and it's clear. Even if they have sent even a newly graduated lawyer to court to meet the EC lawyer. that person would have won the case because this is a straightforward case.
You have sent your case on your disqualification. You want a question. Let's see how that goes. But thank you for coming, Mr.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. So that's clearly 5 suits to look out for between now and Friday. IPP is one of them. Let's see how that happens. But all of these suits have a bearing on how our preparedness for December 7 is looking like. Already, some civil society groups are concerned that this could affect how things are done on December 7. One of them is the Election Watcher, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO. The senior coordinator at the CODEO Secretariat, Dr. Abraham Pomenta, spoke to us and explained why they are concerned about how EC is preparing for this year's elections.
The Electoral Commission has started its preparations, but of course, there are also other issues that can affect the electoral calendar of the Electoral Commission, and therefore all the preparation activities towards the E-Day elections, particularly on issues that border on law cases. We at CODEO have been praying against similar things happening in 2016, looking at the tension around this very election. But it's unfortunate some of these court cases are still coming up.
Ordinarily, per the calendar, the notice of poll is supposed to be done 30 clear days to the elections. We have 5 days to that deadline. It clearly cannot happen because of these legal issues, can it?
Sure. The notice of poll seeks to bring the people who have been certified by the Electoral Commission to the notice of the public. As it stands now, if the Electoral Commission goes ahead to print the notice of polls with the people who have been certified per its document, it means Dr. Papa Kwasi Ndiom cannot be on it. All the other candidates who were rejected cannot be on it. And so the court rules that they should be brought back to the notice of poll. It means all the materials that was printed are going to go waste. And because of that, I don't think with the court case pending, the Electoral Commission can go ahead to print the notice of poll. It may do that at its own risk.
Is it an understanding of CODEO that this decision of the EC to go to court at this time could bode badly for our elections in this year?
Well, we can't challenge anybody or institution that wants to seek legal redress. But as I said in the Bible, we have all things, but not all things that we can do. Advise the EC to desist from the old days or old ways of always asking stakeholders to resort to courts. I mean, the EC has done that. If you quite remember, Dr. James Mentrum, go to court. And we went to court in 2014, 2015. That sought to break our election that was scheduled for February or March to September, sitting down for 8 good months, bringing a cost of 90 million Ghana cedis to Ghanaians. We thought the EC had learned lesson, and we sometimes resort to the same platform that it has helped to form, the IPAC, which seeks to sort some of these things before it gets worse. But we are still resorting to the same thing. So we beg with the EC. Sometimes, yes, the laws are there. But when we amicably sit down to resolve some things, it doesn't get lengthy, and we are able to dispatch issues quickly as possible. So they should resort to the IPAC forum that they themselves have created, so as we not to get ourselves involved in some of the lengthy litigation.
So that's Abraham Pomenta speaking on the elections and our preparedness. But in view of all of this, let's quickly remind ourselves of what the picture was like sometime in 2012 when we were building up to the elections. We recall that the EC chair at the time, Kojo Afarijan, made it clear that a lot had been done in terms of notice of poll and preparations. Let's quickly remind ourselves of what happened then when he addressed journalists about our preparedness.
All the materials that we need to conduct the elections are already in the field. They are already in the districts and constituencies of the country. So we are ready to conduct the election on Friday. All the material that we need. I don't need to itemize them, but everything we need. And from the exercise we did yesterday, that is the early voting or special voting as we call it in Ghana, we can now say that we have a very robust machine that can do the job. We can also allay the fears of people who were doing mathematics, saying that it would take every voter about 5 minutes to go through the process. Therefore, if you take the hours and divide them by 5, only so many people can be processed Yesterday, very huge numbers were processed by a machine. So we are confident that even our largest polling stations, which go up to 1,100, and there are only about 2,000 of such polling stations out of the 26,000 polling stations we have. Only about 2,000 will go up to 1,100 voters. All right, so the overwhelming majority of polling stations are under 1,000 voters. So we know that people can be processed. Let me also share with you some of the firm decisions that we have taken together with the political parties. Now it's become a sing-song almost in the street. Envy, envy. It's only at the polling station that you can ask for a recount of the votes. And I told the candidates that if your agent does not ask for a recount, he comes to report something to you, and 3 days later you send a letter to us, we will not look at it favorably. Let me put it politely. And the votes will be recounted once. If there is a controversy, they will pack all the votes back into the ballot box and take the contents to the constituency center, this time for the returning officer to do the counting.
Now, after that trip down memory lane, we can check out what's happening on the campaign trail today. Never mind issues being raised about our preparation for the elections. The candidates are busy crisscrossing the country as much as they can to deliver their message in the hope that it may translate into votes for them. Let's begin with the president, John Mahama. He is wrapping up his campaign tour of the Eastern region, and he's been talking about him tasking heads of the various security agencies to submit their security strategies to the National Security Council for approval ahead of this year's elections. He was speaking today in an interview on Sunrise FM in Koforidua.
Indeed, we are scheduling a National Security Council meeting, and the National Security Council is the highest body responsible for security in this country, and we are asking all the sector security heads to bring their strategy for election security to the National Security Council. We'll go through it and then we'll approve it so that we know what the positioning is, you know, how they are taking cognition of the flashpoints that have been identified and all that. Aside from that, the services are going to go on joint security exercises and all that to raise the morale of the security services in advance of the elections. I do believe that our security services have what it takes to be able to police and monitor this election. We find that every year before an election, there are all these, you know, fears that are raised. I mean, a lot of panic is spread across, but we've held 6 successful elections. I don't anticipate that this one will be any different, but our security services are in the position and ready, you know, to quell any untoward incidents that occurs. And I must say that as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ghana, I will live up to my responsibility to ensure that peace is maintained before, during, and after the election.
Well, the president continues his tour of the Eastern region today, and he's also been speaking about warnings to chiefs in the area that the MPP, that the MPP presidential candidate Nana Akufo-Addo, he will distill all the chiefs who disagree with him after he wins the election, who still continue to support Nana Addo. Let's get more now from Maxwell Kriteko. Maxwell, as you can imagine, I was a little confused there with the information. Tell us what it is. What exactly is about distilling chiefs as regards this campaign?
Well, the president addressing a mini rally at Suhum Lorry Park in the Suhum constituency, he mentioned, among other things, that Ghana needs a leader who will bring almost everybody on board, both those who are for him and against him. He mentioned that the NPP presidential candidate, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, under his leadership of the NPP, has disintegrated the party, and that those who do not agree with them are taken out of the party, or they are either asked to resign, or if you like, they are sacked from the party. He cautioned that all the chiefs in the country should be worried about the development, and bear in mind that if they supervise or they support the candidature of Akufo-Addo and he becomes president, Akufo-Addo may distill every chief who disagree with him or his policies. So the chiefs should rally behind the NDC, and for that matter, John Dramani Mahama, who would in turn bring everybody together. Francis, earlier this morning, as you indicated, the president had an interaction on a local radio station, GBC Sunrise FM in Koforidua, where he talked about what he has done over the period and what he hopes to do. He mentioned arrangements for security towards this year's election, and also talked about what his government is doing to regularize small-scale mining, popularly known as Galamsey, in the country. The host of the program asked him whether he has heard about the brouhaha or the unrest at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. And the president responded that he has not heard anything about the development going on in Accra Psychiatric Hospital. He mentioned that he is totally not aware of the nurses' brouhaha or their case. However, he's going to contact the Minister of Health to acquaint himself with what has been going on at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. He mentioned that indeed issues or matters of mental health is paramount to the NDC government and its administration. That is why they are proposing that the Accra Psychiatric Hospital will be moved to Pantine, and then also they will make Pantine an ultra-modern healthcare center where a chunk of the healthcare budget that's supposed to go into mental health will be channeled there to build the capacity or to ensure that mental health is paramount to the country as a whole. He has been to Simpoa in the Kwao East district, where he had a mini rally. He talked about his plans to control the Fulani herdsmen or the Fulani issues around the Kwao area. He said government is looking for 10,000 hectares of land to move all the Fulanis to the northern region and make sure that the Fulani will not be scattered across the country. We also talk about the plans or development they have been making in the fishery and agricultural industry. And for that matter, they are building infrastructure to make sure that farmers wouldn't find themselves worrying. Very soon, the president will address a mini rally at Osim in the Buakwa North constituency, and he will wrap his campaign up with a mammoth rally at the Koforidua New Jabin South constituency.
All right, thank you, Max Okidako, for that update from the Eastern region. The president clearly busy as he rounds off his tour of the Eastern region today. Let's quickly head to the Central region, where his opposite number, the NPP flagbearer Nana Akufo-Addo, has also been touring parts of that region as he continues to speak to groups in his bid to convince them to vote for him in this year's elections. Well, he has been addressing some supporters at Akuti in the Central region. Let's hear from him now.
In school fees, and then National Health Insurance card, and yet, yeah, how a Juma so anyhow. Who go from so a BBS and wire, then so. And I'm saying, what did that so? That kid up on Yakubo one or say, I feel what beer quamay. See, I bet you have fire cocoa motor so. Let me a year how we are. I feel. That is it true. If I fire cocoa motor so. You Mahama buying and the NDC buying SHI. Yeah, the Akufo-Addo, and the MPP are buying about the Senate level, about the summer. I didn't buy Baba can send me no. I am my business there. I'm the Baba too many. What is say? When you coupon be a Kwamaya, the Passia Bay, not put you on Mexicana and Juma Bagana. Yaya Sabia, the Dikan, Yemra Kufo, no suit I can say, not the National Health Insurance Scheme, Brian. Odebano, Yemra Mahama, near before and Abreso, what is one in pet? Emma Brashe Bedroom Hawk Crowd, when he free hawk, Tabaya can rather answer. They walked out in the parliament. It's a good buy. Or the buy 7 boy, and boy, and boy. And I'm so one in Penny, what they buy, a yacht say what was him. The buy say about the catcher was there. Who pajama, then people are buying by. National Health Insurance.
And that's Nana Akufo-Addo speaking in the central region, Natakoti. We'll bring you more from the campaign trail here on the show. But after the short break, we'll delve into something else that has been a major talking point in the last 4 years. I'm talking about job creation. That will be our focus after the break. The Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency will join us for a conversation on how many jobs have been created and what the bigger plan is for the country. Details after the break. Stay with us.